There are many people all over the world who have a hobby of collecting antique cars. Values of such cars are influenced by many factors such as make or brand, the year of manufacture, or age of the car. Antique cars, vintage cars, and old models of the early automobiles have aroused the interest of many people. Today, in the modern era, there are many people who avidly collect these antique cars. Such collectors also enjoy restoring these cars and take an interest in their mechanisms. Antique cars are not regularly driven on roads due to their delicate age. However, some collectors also enjoy driving these cars occasionally. Some of the really old, famous, and restored cars are still sold today by the experts of antique cars. The antique car prices are derived on the basis of some specific factors. Antique cars belong to the pre-World War I era. These are basically the cars that were first commercially produced and sold to the common public. The brass cars were manufactured for development and experimentation, instead of sales. Some of the brass cars were sold, but to a select few for very high costs. The antique car era started just before World War I, when car developers started the production of automobiles with the help of crude auto parts and very basic manufacturing tools. The biggest development that occurred in this era was that of development and implementation of the assembly line. The assembly line was developed by Ransom E. Olds and was implemented by Henry Ford. One of the biggest advantages of these types of assembly lines was that the cars became cheaper and efficient, and many people could afford them. These cars are today known as antique cars. One of the most famous models that is found even today is the Model T by Ford. Some of the early manufacturers who made a brilliant entry into the car market during 1910 to 1920 include Ford, Daimler, Chrysler, Hudson, Dodge, Studebaker, Olds, and DeSoto. Quite a few models of these manufacturers have survived the test of time, and today, antique car enthusiasts fondly restore these beauties. Value of antique cars. There are several factors that are taken into consideration to determine the value of the car that is categorized as an antique. Used car values are usually derived on the basis of the demand and supply of the car. The values are derived on the basis of the following factors. Age of the car, restorations, material and parts used during restoration, make of the car, antique car insurance, whether the car be driven for a long time or not. Genuine antique car collectors often consider many in-depth factors of the car, such as year of manufacture and components of the car. When it comes to antique cars, the rarer the spare parts, the more is the value of the car. In some cases, restoration by wrong and inexperienced engineers often decreases the value of the car. Antique car clubs often restore and sell these cars at a pretty high cost. Most of the time, such cars are sold in big auto auctions after it is examined by experts. Many companies themselves restore such cars, which are often found in auto shows and exhibitions. According to many enthusiasts, the real value of antique cars cannot be derived, as these cars are priceless.